And please stay connected and watch this video to the end, you will never regret watching it. Emma and John were two little children who lived with their rich parents in the city of Lagos. They were a happy family, and their parents believed in learning everything through social media. Emma was 8 years old, and John was 10 years old. They were both very smart and intelligent. Their parents loved everything about social media and always exposed them to it. One day, Emma and John went to their mother and said, "Mom, we want a phone of our own." They wanted to be able to watch anything they wanted online, just like their parents did. So, Emma and John's parents didn't even give them a hard time about getting a phone. They just agreed. They told the kids, "Don't worry, when we go to the market tomorrow, we'll get you a phone." Emma and John were so excited, they started telling their parents what kind of phone they wanted. "We want a big one, a good one," they said. "Can we get an iPhone, please?" Their parents just laughed and said, "Oh, my little kids, don't worry about it. We will get you a very good phone, you don't have to worry about a thing." Their mom said, "My beautiful children, you come from a rich home, you won't lack anything. We won't let you suffer like we did when we were growing up." So, the next day, Emma and John's mom went to the market and got them a phone. She didn't get them an iPhone, though. She got them an Android phone instead. But she got two phones, one for each of them, and she even got them a SIM card for each phone. When she got back home, she showed the phones to their dad, and then they called Emma and John into their bedroom. "Hey kids, come check out what we got for you," they said. And then they presented the phones to them. Emma and John were so happy, they thanked their mom over and over again. "Thank you, Mom, thank you so much," they said. They were thrilled to have phones at such a young age, and they couldn't wait to start using them. So, Emma and John were very happy about their new phones. They were always playing with them, watching videos. They were just so happy to have this new way to connect with the world. Meanwhile, their parents were sitting in their bedroom, having a conversation about how they wanted to give their kids the best life possible. Emma's mom was saying, "Yes, we're going to give them everything they want. We don't want them to have to look elsewhere for things, or experience the struggles we did when we were younger." She was all about making life easy for them, and giving them everything they could possibly want. Their dad nodding in agreement, and said, "Absolutely, my sweetheart. You're right. Our kids won't have to go through what we went through. We'll provide everything they need, so they can fit in with their friends and have all the opportunities they deserve." Their mother continued, "You know, it's great that they have these phones now. They can use social media to learn new things and stay connected with their friends. It will really help motivate them and make them smart." They both laughed and clinked their glasses together, happy to be able to provide for their kids in that way. But what they didn't realize was that they were actually drawing a line of spoiling their children. By giving them everything they wanted, without teaching them the value of hard work and responsibility, they were creating a potential problem. They were so focused on making life easy for Emma and John that they weren't thinking about the long-term effects of their actions. So, Emma and John were living their best lives, always with a full data bundle on their phones. Whenever their data would finish, their parents would just subscribe them to another plan, and they'd be back to browsing and watching videos. They'd spend hours in their separate rooms, each enjoying their own phone, watching videos on Facebook, TikTok, and other apps. One day, John was scrolling through his Facebook feed, watching videos, when he came across something that caught his attention. It was a video of a boy and a girl playing some kind of game, but it wasn't just any game. John was like, what kind of game is this? How can humans be doing things like this?" He was confused, but also intrigued. He watched the video over and over again, trying to make sense of it. Finally, he decided to share it with his sister, Emma, who was in her own room, watching videos on TikTok. John got up from his bed and went to Emma's room, calling out to her, "Emma, Emma, come closer, I've got something to show you." Emma came to the door, and John showed her the video on his phone. Emma's reaction was similar to John's. She was like, what type of thing is this?" John was like, "I know, right? I've never seen anything like it before." Emma was curious, and she asked John to come into her room so they could sit down and watch the video together. They sat down on Emma's bed. And John played the video again, this time with Emma watching it with him. They both watched it over and over, trying to figure out what was going on. As they watched, they started to get more and more excited. They were like, "Wow, this game is crazy. How do they do it?" They were both confused, but also fascinated by the game. They didn't know what it was called, or how to play it, but they were determined to learn more. And so, they kept watching. So, as Emma and John continued watching the video of the girl and boy playing the game, they started to get more and more excited. John turned to Emma and said, "Hey, should we show Mommy and Daddy this?" But Emma was like, No, let's not show them yet. Let's just keep watching and see if we can figure out what's going on." Emma said, "Maybe if we keep watching, the video will make sense to us, and we can learn how to play the game on our own." John agreed, and they kept watching the video, trying to understand the rules of the game. As they watched, they started to get more and more into it. Emma said, "Look at the way the girl is screaming, and the boy is screaming too. They're so happy and excited doing this thing." John said, "Yes, I can see that. The game looks really fun. If it wasn't fun, they wouldn't be shouting and screaming like that." Emma nodded in agreement, "Exactly. Maybe we can practice playing this game and see how it works." John said, "And look, they're playing it in a bedroom. It's like a special game that's only played in secret bedroom or something." Emma's eyes widened with excitement. "Wow, that's so cool. It looked like a secret game. There's nobody else around, just the two of them doing it together." John said, "Yeah, maybe we should try it. It looks like so much fun." Emma was like, "Okay, let's do it. But we have to be careful, we don't want Mommy and Daddy to find out." John said, "Don't worry, we won't tell them. Let's just practice the game on our own and see what happens." Emma nodded, and they both put down their phones, ready to start practicing the game. They looked at each other, and Emma said, "Okay, let's do this. But we have to be quiet, we don't want anyone to hear us." John grinned, and they both started to make plans to practice it. So, Emma and John were getting ready to play the game they saw on their phone. Emma reminded John, "Hey, remember how they weren't wearing any clothes on their body while playing the game in the bedroom?" John was like, "Oh yeah, I remember. They were naked. Let's take off our clothes too, so we can play the game just like them." They both removed their clothes and were ready to start, but then Emma remembered another thing. "Wait, remember how they were playing the game? They were lying on the bed and using their body to, play the game." John was like, "Oh yeah, exactly. That's how they were doing it. We should do it like that too." So, they started playing the game, with Emma using her body to, well, play the game with John's body. At first, it was all fun and games, but soon they started to feel a lot of pain. Emma was screaming, "Ow, this thing is painful." John was like, "I know, right? It's really hurting." They were both surprised, because the people in the video were screaming and shouting, but they seemed to be enjoying it. Emma was like, "I don't get it, how were they enjoying it so much?" "We're doing it now, and it's really painful," John said. "Maybe we just need to keep doing it and we'll get used to it." Maybe it's just because it's our first time playing the game. So, they kept doing it, but the more they do it, the more pain they felt. Emma finally said, "Stop, stop, I don't want to play anymore. My leg is hurting too much." John was like, "Yeah, me too. I don't think I can keep doing it. This is really painful." They stopped playing the game and sat down on the bed, trying to catch their breath. Emma was like, "Wow, I don't get it. How were they enjoying it so much? We're in pain and they're screaming like they're in heaven." John was like, "I know, right? Maybe it's just because we're not used to it. Maybe another time we'll try and it won't hurt as much." Emma said, "Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we just need to practice more and we'll get the hang of it." John agreed, and they decided to try doing it again another day. For now, they were just going to relax and forget about the pain they felt. As they stayed, Emma said, "Maybe we should watch some more videos and see if there's another way to play the game that doesn't hurt so much." John was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's go watch some more videos and see what we can learn." So, the next day, after their parents left for work, Emma and John were left alone in the house. Emma reminded John of the video they watched the night before, and they were like, "Hey, let's try it again." John pulled out his phone, because he had downloaded the video the night before, and they played it again. They watched it carefully, and then they were like, "Okay, let's give it another shot. Maybe this time it won't be so painful." So, they went to the bathroom, took off their clothes, and got into position. Emma lay on the bed, and John used his body to, play the game with Emma's body. At first, Emma was like, "Wow, it's still painful." But then she said, "It's not as bad as it was yesterday." John was like, "Yeah, I know what you mean. The pain is still there, but it's not as intense as it was before." Emma said, "Maybe if we keep doing it, the pain will stop and we'll start enjoying it like those two people in the video." John was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The pain is already starting to reduce, so maybe by tomorrow or the next day, it will be gone altogether." So, they kept playing the game, and as they do it, they started to enjoy it more and more. They were laughing and having fun, and the pain was becoming less and less of an issue. After a while, they got tired and sweaty, and they lay down on the bed to catch their breath. "Wow, that was actually kind of fun." Emma said, "I know, right? I'm still feeling a little bit of pain, but it's not as bad as it was before." John said, "Yeah, me too. I'm enjoying it, but I'm still feeling a little bit of pain." They both laughed and said, "Maybe by tomorrow, we'll be pros at this game and we won't feel any pain at all." As they lay there, they started making plans to play the game again the next day. John said, "Tomorrow, when Mummy and Daddy are not at home, we'll come back to the bedroom and play the game again." "Yeah, that sounds like a plan. I'm sure we'll be able to play it without feeling any pain by then," Emma said. They both laughed and said, "We'll see about that." But they were both excited to try again and see if they could master the game. So, the next day, Emma and John's parents went out for their daily work as usual. After eating their breakfast, Emma reminded John about the game they had been playing, and John was like, "Yes, let's quickly go and do it before Mummy and Daddy returns home." They both went to the garden, pulled up their clothes, and started playing the game. As they do it, Emma was screaming and shouting, saying, "Wow, this game is so sweet. No wonder those people we saw on our phone were so happy playing it." John interrupted, "Yes, even me too. I'm really enjoying the game. It's very sweet, and the pains we normally feel on our legs and the other side, we can't feel it again. The game is just giving us joy. Too much joy to enjoy." Emma was like, "Wow, no wonder they were just screaming on the phone and shouting as if they were in another world." The thing is very enjoyable. John said, yes, it is very enjoyable. Then Emma told John to put it deeper, to make sure he passes it very well to her. John said, yes, I'm trying my best to do it very well. The thing is very interesting. Together, they kept on playing the game, and Emma was very happy doing it. Likewise, John was also happy, and they were both screaming, shouting. The game was very sweet and interesting. After playing the game, they sat at the corner of the bed and started talking. Emma said, wow, this game is very sweet. But are we going to tell Mummy and Daddy about it when they return home? John said, no, it's going to be our little secret. We will tell Mummy and Daddy, but that will be when we are so perfect in the game. Then we can show them how to play it. I know Mummy and Daddy will love it, Emma said, yes, they are going to love it. Mummy and Daddy love playing games, so if they see this type of game, they will be so happy to play it with us. They both laughed and went back to the living room, and started watching TV again. As they watched TV, they were both thinking about the game and how much fun they had playing it. They were excited to do it again and to show their parents how to do it when they got better at it. They were happy to have found a new game to play together, and they were enjoying every moment of it. After a while, Emma turned to John and said, you know, I'm so glad we found this game. It's so much fun to play, and I love doing it with you. John smiled and said, yeah, me too. I'm glad we can do it together and have so much fun. They both smiled and continued watching TV, already looking forward to their next game session. So, Emma and John's parents were completely unaware of what was going on in the house whenever they were not at home. They thought that the phone they gave to their kids was just being used to watch TikTok, Facebook, and other online videos. They had no idea that the phone had taught Emma and John a new game, one that they were secretly playing in the bedroom. The parents were busy with their schedules, and they would often come home exhausted. They had no reason to suspect that anything was amiss. They would hear Emma and John laughing and shouting in the bedroom, but they just thought they were having fun playing together. The mother would often say to the father, I'm so glad we got them that phone. It's really brought them closer together. They're always watching videos or playing games together. The father would nod in agreement, yes, it's great to see them getting along so well. They're really enjoying that phone, but little did they know, Emma and John were actually practicing a new game they had learned from the phone. As the days went by, Emma and John became more and more skilled at the game. They would do it every chance they got, and they would often laugh and shout with excitement. Their parents would hear the noise and just smile, thinking that their kids were just having fun playing together, but the truth was, Emma and John had discovered a whole new world of fun and games on that phone. And they were determined to keep practicing and getting better at it, no matter what. As weeks turned into months, and one day, Emma and John's grandmother showed up at their house unexpected. She just decided to pay them a visit and spend some time with her grandchildren. Emma and John's mother was surprised to see her mother standing at the door, but she was happy to have her visit. After a warm welcome, they sat down in the living room, and Emma and John's mother asked her, Mother, how did you come without telling us? You didn't even call to say you were coming. The old woman smiled and said, My dear daughter, I just decided to pay you people an unexpected visit. I wanted to spend some time with my grandchildren and see how you're all doing. Emma and John's mother was happy to have her mother visit. And she said, Well, you did well, Mother. It's very nice of you to come and visit us. She then called out to Emma and John, Emma, John, come and greet your grandmother. The two kids rushed into the living room and gave their grandmother a big hug. After spending some time with her daughter, the grandmother was shown to her guest room, where she could rest and relax. As the days went by, the grandmother spent a lot of time with her daughter, asking her about the people in the village and how they were doing. Every morning, Emma and John's parents would leave for work, leaving the kids with their grandmother at home. One day, while the kids were playing in the bedroom, the grandmother noticed something that shocked her. She saw Emma and John playing a game that she couldn't quite understand, and she was surprised by what she saw. But she didn't want to jump to conclusions, so she decided to give it some thought and observe them again the next day. The grandmother was curious, and she thought to herself, "What are these kids doing? I've never seen anything like this before." She decided to keep an eye on them and see if she could figure out what was going on. She didn't want to accuse them of anything or make them feel uncomfortable. The next day, Emma and John's mother left for work, leaving them with their grandmother at home. After eating breakfast together, the grandmother suggested that they go to the sitting room and watch a movie. Emma and John agreed, but as they were watching the movie, they started to feel uncomfortable. They really wanted to go to the bedroom and play their usual game, so they got up and went to the couch where their grandmother was sitting, and Emma said, "Grandmother, please, we want to go to the bedroom to play our game." The grandmother looked at them and said, "A game? What kind of game is that?" Emma and John looked at each other, and John spoke up, "Grandmother, it's a game that we learned on our phone. It's meant to be played in the bedroom, and only 2 people can play it. We would love you to join us, but you can't do it with us." The grandmother was surprised and thought to herself, "Is this the game that I saw them doing yesterday in the bedroom? Is this what they're referring to as the game they learned on their phone?" She looked at them and asked, "Did you have a phone?" And they said, "Yes, our mother bought us a phone." The grandmother was even more surprised and said, "Your mother did what? She bought you people a phone?" Emma and John said, "Yes, grandmother, she bought us a phone, and we learned how to play the game from it." The grandmother asked, "Okay, can I see the game on your phone?" And they said, "No, you can't see it, grandmother. It's just our little secret game that we play in the bedroom." The grandmother said, "Okay, you can go and play your game in the bedroom, but please don't stay too long. I don't want to be in the sitting room alone." So Emma and John left the sitting room and went to the bedroom to play their game. As they were playing, they started screaming and shouting in amusement. The grandmother sat where she was, listening to the noise and thinking, "What kind of game is this that gives them so much joy?" So Emma and John continued playing their game in the bedroom, laughing and shouting with joy. The noise became too much for their grandmother, who was sitting in the living room. She got up and went to the bedroom to see what all the commotion was about. When she saw them having fun together, she was shocked and rushed over to them. She hit John on the head and said, "What type of game is this? Did you want to harm yourself? Did you want to get injured? Who taught you this type of game?" Emma and John were frightened and sat down on the floor. They explained that they had learned the game from the phone their mother had bought for them. Their grandmother was surprised and asked, "From the phone your mother bought for you? How come you learned this game from the phone?" Emma and John told her that the game was very sweet and interesting, and that she would enjoy it if she played it with them. But the grandmother was not having it. She told them to shut up and said, "God forbid, did you know what you were saying?" The children were confused and didn't understand why their grandmother was so angry. They tried to explain to her that the game was fun and harmless, but she wouldn't listen. John even offered to play the game with her, saying, "Grandmother, if you can play this game here in the bedroom with me, I swear you will love it." But the grandmother was furious and told them to go into the sitting room and wait for her. Emma and John were shocked and surprised by their grandmother's reaction. They didn't understand why she was so angry about a simple game. They got up from the bed and went to the sitting room, where they sat down and waited for their grandmother to do what she wanted to do next. They were frightened and didn't know what to expect. As they sat in the sitting room, they could hear their grandmother muttering to herself. She was clearly upset and was trying to figure out what to do. Emma and John looked at each other, wondering what they had done. Their grandmother sat down on the bed, deep in thought. She was shaking her head, wondering what kind of parents her daughter and son-in-law were. What kind of parents do we have these days, she thought to herself. What gave my daughter and her husband the mind to get phones for these little children at their tender age of 8 and 10? She couldn't understand why they would give their children phones, knowing full well the kind of content that was available on the internet. The internet is full of corruption, she thought. How could they be so careless and get phones for my grandchildren? She wondered if she had raised her daughter to be so reckless and irresponsible, as she sat there. She thought about the game that Emma and John had been playing in the bedroom. What if they harm themselves, she thought. What if something bad comes out of this? She couldn't bear the thought of anything happening to her grandchildren. She felt a sense of responsibility, wondering if she had failed in some way as a parent and a grandmother. She thought about what could have happened if she hadn't visited them. They would have continued doing this type of thing in the bedroom, and who knows what could have happened. She shuddered at the thought. God forbid, she said to herself. Thank God I visited them. Now I can put a stop to this nonsense. She was so determined to talk to her daughter about this as soon as she got back home. Let me just wait for her to come back, she thought. She will explain to me why she did this, to my grandchildren, knowing full well that the world is full of evil. She was angry and worried, but she was also relieved that she had caught this before anything bad could happen. She couldn't help but think about the kind of world we lived in. The world is a crazy place, she thought. You can't even trust the people who are supposed to be taking care of your grandchildren. She went to the sitting room, where Emma and John were waiting for her. They looked up at her with fearful eyes, wondering what she was going to say or do next. But their grandmother just looked at them, her expression a mix of anger, worry, and concern. We will talk about this later, she said. When your mother gets back, we will have a long talk about this. And with that, she sat down, waiting for her daughter to come home and explain herself. As soon as Emma and John's mother came back from work, her mother couldn't hold her anger anymore. She rushed into the room where her daughter was trying to change her clothes and take a shower. Where is your husband, young woman? She asked, her face red with anger. Emma and John's mother was taken aback by her mother's tone and replied, my husband is going to come back late today. He has a lot of work to do at the office. Her mother's expression didn't change, and she said, indeed, he has a lot of work to do. Okay, I'll address this issue to you. Emma and John's mother was surprised to see her mother in that mode and asked, Mother, what is it? Why are you so angry? You didn't even want me to relax and rest before you raised this topic. Her mother's anger boiled over, and she said, if it's not that you're my daughter, whom I carried on my belly for 9 months, and for the love I have for you and my children, I would have given you a dirty slap. Emma and John's mother was shocked and asked, a dirty slap? What did I do to deserve this type of treatment from you? Her mother's voice rose, and she said, what gave you the mind, what gave you the authority, what gave you the pride to get phones for my grandchildren? Did you know what you've caused them? Did you know the type of thing you put them into? Emma and John's mother was still trying to understand what was wrong and asked, is there anything wrong in getting them a phone? I just gave them a phone so that they can feel at home. So that they can feel that they came from a rich family, so that they can enjoy the joy of childhood, the joy of parentalhood or motherhood, which I lacked to enjoy when I was at their age. Her mother looked at her, shocked, and said, enjoy parentalhood? And the only way for them to enjoy it is by giving them a cell phone? What type of parents do you people present these days? Emma and John's mother tried to defend herself, saying, Mother, is there anything wrong in giving them a phone? We are in the 21st century, we are in a new, modern life, we are in a social media life now, so everybody makes use of phones, it doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the size, but her mother was having none of it. She angrily slapped her and said, "Instead of you asking me what the kids did, you are here defending the phone that you gave to them, the phone that you want to use and rule their life." Emma and John's mother started crying and shedding tears, saying, "Mother, you slapped me, you slapped your own daughter?" In my own house, her mother's anger didn't subside, and she said, "Any more nonsense from you, I will slap you again." The atmosphere in the room was tense, and Emma and John's mother was still trying to process what had just happened. She couldn't believe that her mother had slapped her, and she didn't know how to react. After some minutes of Emma and John's mother's tears, she calmed down and went to her mother, who was sitting on the couch in the bedroom. She asked her, "What did you see the children using the phone for?" Her mother replied, "This is the question you should have asked me from the beginning, not told me that you bought it for them for modern life or anything." Emma and John's mother asked, "Okay, what did you see them doing?" Her mother said, "I saw the kids playing a particular game in the bedroom, and when I asked them, they said they learned it from the phone you and your husband bought for them." Emma and John's mother was curious and asked, "A game? What type of game was that?" Her mother leaned in close and whispered what she had seen the children doing in the bedroom. Emma and John's mother's eyes widened in shock, and she shouted, "What? How can this be true? You saw them doing what? Playing what? No, no, I don't believe this." Her mother told her, "You can call them yourself and ask them to know if what I say is true or not." Emma and John's mother angrily called out to the children, shouting their names. Emma and John rushed to their mother's bedroom, where she was sitting with their grandmother. She asked them, "Emma, John, I want you to tell me the truth. What type of game were you doing in the bedroom?" Emma and John looked at each other, and Emma spoke up first, saying, "Mom, the thing is so sweet and fun. It's really sweet. We learned it from the phone you and Daddy bought for us. The game is a game of a boy and a girl. We normally do it in the bedroom, but grandmother saw us playing the game today and said it's not meant for us." Their mother looked surprised and asked, "The game of a boy and a girl? You learned it from the phone?" John added, "Yes, Mom, like Emma said, we learned it from the phone you bought for us." Their mother repeated, "From the phone we bought for you?" The children nodded in agreement and said, "Yes, Mom, the thing is very interesting and fun. We can get you the phone, and you can watch the video and play the game with Daddy in the bedroom. The game is very sweet, just like we told Grandma, but Grandma was not happy with us." Their mother broke down in tears and started crying. The grandmother told the children to go to the sitting room and watch TV, saying they would join them in no time. Emma and John left the bedroom, looking confused and worried about what was happening. They went to the sitting room and sat down, watching TV quietly, wondering what would happen next. As Emma and John's mother was crying, her mother came close and sat beside her, comforting her. She started telling her, you see what I was telling you. You see what I was saying. You mothers and parents of these days think that the only way to raise your children is by exposing them to social media, not knowing that you are destroying their life. You are corrupting them. It's a way of corrupting them and exposing them to the world which they are not meant to know. This is what I was saying. You were saying that you didn't want them to suffer the way you people did in your time. Were you not wise? Were you not able to make money? Giving your children phone at this age, 8 and 10. In fact, from such a tender age to the age of 15, 16 years, you are not helping their life. You are exposing them to a life of another world which, if they might go into it, to come out will be very difficult for them. She continued, "Thank God you found out on time. Thank God also that there are still children who can amend their ways. So, crying and shedding tears is not going to solve this problem. The only way is for you to think and figure out what next to do, for you to make the whole situation become. Emma and John's mother started saying, "Mom, I am sorry for not asking you before now. I am sorry for doubting you for the first time. My husband and I thought that this is the way. The best way to raise children, to make them smart, to make them exposed to the world, not knowing that we are corrupting their lives. I am sorry, and thank you very much, Mommy, that you even found out." Her mother replied, "No problem, my daughter. What are grandmothers for? I can't just sit down here and watch my children being exposed to something that I know will be harmful to them in their future. So, what we are going to do right now is for us to figure out something to do in order to stop them from this shameful act." Emma and John's mother wiped her tears and looked straight into her mother's eyes, saying, "Mother, what do you suggest we do?" Her mother thought for a while and then said, "Okay, the kids are young, right?" Emma and John's mother nodded and said, "Yes." Her mother continued, "Okay, this is what you are going to do. You are going to collect the phone from them and tell them that when they enter senior secondary school, they will start using phones again." Emma and John's mother listened attentively as her mother outlined a plan to keep the kids occupied and engaged. "The next thing for you to do is to enroll them in lessons. Look for private lessons and put them there immediately after they finish their breakfast in the morning. You take them to their lesson places, then you go to your work. You will have to pay for extra time, but make sure they go with their food so that whenever they feel hungry, they can eat there. Then, when you take them to their lessons, you go to your own work, and while coming back, you pick them up and bring them home. Always make sure that you and your husband are with them." Emma and John's mother nodded, taking in her mother's advice. "Within a short time, I pray, in fact, we pray, within a short time, they will get used to their lesson places and forget everything about the phone. Let's just try these steps and see if it's going to work out." Emma and John's mother loaded with gratitude and said, "Thank you, Mom, thank you for your advice. I will do just as you said." Not quite long after, the kids were enrolled in a school lesson center, and Emma and John's mother followed her mother's instructions to the letter. She took them to their lessons, went to work, and then picked them up and brought them home. She made sure they went with their lunch and snacks, and after some time, the kids gradually forgot about their phones. Whenever they felt like watching a movie, they would come to the sitting room and watch together with their parents. They would then go to their different rooms and sleep, and within a short time, they forgot everything about the video they saw on their phone while they were using it. The parents became so happy to see their children forget about what they had watched on their phone, and they thanked their grandmother for keeping an eye on the lives of her grandchildren. They were grateful for her wisdom and guidance, which had helped them to navigate a difficult situation and find a solution that worked for everyone. The family was once again at peace, and the kids were happy and engaged in their lessons and activities, without the distraction of phones and social media.